In my last video, we talked about hitting the wall, that 20 plus hour mark, where a massive game like Assassin's Creed Origins and some other open world games stop feeling like a grand adventure and start feeling like an obligation. And in the comment section of that video, it ended up becoming a therapy session for me and probably for some of you as well. Someone I recently met wrote something that completely rewired how I'm looking at my game collection right now. They described the process of trialing games. For instance, starting with Jedi Fallen Order, putting it down for many months, to finish 3 other games, and not sequentially, not consistently as well, to finish 3 other games and then come back later to Jedi Fallen Order, letting it happen organically when their brain and their body and heart are ready. Someone else in the comment section pointed out a darker truth. They said the issue is due to trying to be efficient in games, breaking games down into tasks rather than just absorbing themselves in the experience. This, I feel, is part of the problem. When calling your unfinished games, or maybe unplayed games, you call them a backlog, something you're meant to do to nourish your soul, have fun and create new memories, into something a bit of a chore. In fact, a lot of a chore. You've basically created a mountain of your own making. When you've turned your hobby into something that becomes a burden, a weight that drains you, this is not the way. I hadn't realized that I had imported the exact professional framework that I used 9 to 5 into my evening relaxation time. This is not the way. For me, I don't just have 5 games on rotation because I'm easily distracted. I have at least 5 games on rotation because my adult brain is trying to project manage my dopamine. I know I'm not diagnosed with ADHD and I refuse to be diagnosed, but I am wondering if this is what it feels like when you're gaming with an ADHD brain. There's an efficiency trap and a bit of a min-max course that we have caused for ourselves as gamers. We now live in an era of hyper-optimized gaming content. Our brains are always stimulated, every moment of every day, of every second. Social media, TV, the news, our brains are no longer resting. We are constantly fed tutorials on how to put in minimum effort for maximum reward. We've been trained and we continue to be trained to view games as commodities for quick gratification rather than immersive experiences to grow through, to widen our reach, to expand our worldviews. So many things can be blamed for this, but we are partly the reason. We've allowed this. Think about how we play most modern wide linear and really the culprits are the open world games. We open up the map. We see a checklist of icons, bloody icons. They were meant to help us, but they've become a problem. And our brain immediately switches into task mode. After we've cleared out the outpost, after we've collected all the resources, we check off this box, we check off that box, we upgrade our gear. It has become all about optimizing our addiction and we didn't even realize it. I didn't realize it. Every experience within most games now have become all about the next dopamine hit. Trying to optimize everything just doesn't work for me. I don't know if it works for you. For me, it's become a problem. When you're a teenager or a young child with technically infinite time, you see that idea of the checklist is a playground. You actually are excited by it. At least I was. But as you grow older, and as you find yourself in this camp of adulthood, You're trying to balance work. You're trying to balance your fortnightly bills or your weekly bills or your monthly bills. You're trying to balance family in my own situation. And you're navigating the mental load of real life. You're trying to be a leader of self and a leader of others. A checklist isn't a game anymore. It will bring the trauma of spreadsheet mentality. It becomes a responsibility. Even worse, it becomes a noose. That's what a checklist becomes. I know many people who love spreadsheets. But for me, if a game starts to feel like a spreadsheet, a mind looking for a genuine narrative escape is going to rebel. And my mind does rebel. It's going to look at that 15, 20 plus hour mark in experiences like Assassin's Creed Origins, Watch Dogs, and even the Horizon games. And it's going to say, let me reframe that. I am going to say, I already have a job. Thank you. I need a break. Maybe I should just step away. I'm going to end up saying, I'm out. I'm not done, but I'm out. I'll need a breather. I'm starting to believe more and more that gaming experiences, story experiences, essentially life experiences, I'm starting to believe that they are linked to the stage of life which each person is. To understand why my brain does what it does right now, in my current stage, my current phase of life, I have to look back at the anomaly within my gaming timeline. Starting in 1989, my earliest gaming memories with Prince of Persia, with Contra on the Famicom, and with so many other experiences. I'm starting to remember all of this. But I look back and I notice one clear point. I have to look at 2020 during the lockdown periods again. I traced my mind back and I traced my life back. And what I am today as a more modern adult gamer, but more modern, I've seen that it comes from that period. During the period when I was underemployed, unemployed, and honestly feeling sick, pathetic, and very sorry for myself. At that time, when the structural demands of my daily life vanished, and my wife was working multiple shifts, multiple jobs, my wife lifted me up. During that period, all I could think about and all I could do was even imagine how I couldn't actually afford the true cost of being self-expired. My cognitive bandwidth was entirely wide open during those times. During those long months, I became a more active and consistent gamer. I became more active and visible on social media, and Twitter especially. I met so many people, I sought so many people out. I was looking for all sorts of help without asking for help. But I was looking for help. I remember that I absorbed the story, the characters, the pacing in every single experience without any true internal or external friction. My wife left me to game as much as I needed to, or I wanted to, because I think she was trying to help me heal. I became a house husband, and it was interesting. Was good, was interesting. What a time that was to awaken my inner child. I found a bit of my truest self. What a time to treasure. But here's the realization I've come to. That time wasn't normal life. At least for me and many people in my sphere of reality. At least for me, as a migrant in the country where I live in Australia, at least for me in the journey I had taken to go to this place, I did not move thousands of miles to the end of the world to just play games. It was a good time, but it was a vacuum. When I look back now, I realize it was a bit of a matrix of my own making. Today, my stage of life is completely different. The emotional cost of just existing as an adult in 2026 is high. When I close my MacBook after a long day of co-designing sessions, when I'm tired of the constant pivot of an entire day, my brain is full and exhausted. Probably some of you come home exhausted. Maybe my mind needs something softer. I'm thinking maybe I do need something calmer, softer, easier. But the truth of the matter is that my heart wants something more involved, something constantly profound. It's probably why I played Death Stranding Director's Cut on rotation. Honestly, I played that game for almost 2 years. I remember when I started that game, I was playing at the same time as a friend of mine, and he ended up finishing the game probably 7 months ahead of me because I was just going in and out. I was on rotation of so many different games, but that was the one I really wanted to finish. It was never really a chore. I was trying to absorb the story and the world as much as possible. Once that game picks up, after the 6th hour or thereabout, but it picks up around 2 hours into the game. By the 6th hour, everything changes. Once you get to chapter 3, everything changes in Death Stranding Director's Cut specifically. Loved my experience with that, but it took 19 to 24 months. But games like those demand a high entry fee of emotional energy and mental fortitude. If I don't have the mental currency to pay that fee on a Tuesday, Thursday, or Friday night, what am I going to do? My brain does something fascinating actually. My brain by itself helped me solve a bit of this problem. I think my brain splits the deck. I believe I stumbled onto the 5-game rotation, not by trial and error, but it just happened organically. When one thing isn't working, I will jump on something else. But the 5-game rotation just works for me. I no longer see it as a lack of discipline or focus. Probably lack of focus. But it's not a lack of discipline. I think my brain just does a bit of a warm handoff at some point, like move on to something else if you can move forward. I don't try to force the issue. I don't argue with myself. And I don't debate what would people think. I just choose not to care. I become very selfish. And what I've always found easy, I just jump into previously FIFA, but now FC. I jump into FC 26. And reason is simple. It's not just because I've been playing it for a long time. It's because it has a mechanical loop that is predictable, but the outcomes are almost innumerable. They are legion. It requires no narrative commitment. Just a pure tactical mindset and muscle memory. Lots of muscle memory. It works for me. I know some of you play cozy games. Some of you play mobile games. I don't play either cozy or mobile games. And I simply fall back to my own safe game. So I think the idea of safe game, something I should probably consider talking about. But I fall back to my safe game. I've had a close to 30 decade relationship with soccer games, and that seems to be my comfort zone. If I want mechanical intensity without the weight of an open world checklist or an open world non-checklist but seems to be so vast that it scares me, I just load up a game of probably FC 26. I could go into a run of Returnal. I've sometimes played Sifu just for fun. Things I don't need to overthink. I can just exist in those worlds without any direct mission. I can just roam around and have my fun. It solves a bit of a problem. It gives me the dopamine I need, and eventually I get back to the big game I want to play. If I want a narrative that respects my time organically, I always look at a more tighter, more linear experience. I really couldn't care less about achievements or any trophies. It could be a bronze trophy, it could be a copper trophy. I don't know if that exists. I don't give a damn. My greatest gaming achievement was never a digital badge, and it will never will be a digital badge. When I think about it, I played Spider-Man 2 up to the platinum, getting the platinum for multiple reasons. The structure to get platinums made a lot of sense. But when I'm really honest with myself, I played Spider-Man 2 to the detriment of myself. I got the platinum, an intentional platinum for that game, and it ruined it for me. My memories of that game holds true, but chasing the platinum ruined it for me, and that woke me up. I don't need to prove myself to anyone, and neither should you. For me, trophies are just a retention metric, and they were designed by developers to keep every single one of you on the treadmill. That's what they're there for. It's the idea that you're achieving something when in truth you will actually achieve nothing, but you get a sense of achievement. I tend to believe that when you have an ADHD brain, the treadmill of continuous chasing can be torture. I personally don't want to optimize the path to the trophy. I want to experience the art of the journey, because for me, the journey is more important than the destination. And if that journey needs to take a detour through maybe 5 other games, knock yourself out. 10 other games before you get back to the first one. Then why are you treating it like a failure? Play selfishly. That's what I do. I play selfishly. Why not design a better experience? You don't need to write anything down, but why not just mentally design a better experience with your leisure time, with your gaming time? Look within yourself. Are you happy? Are you satisfied? Are you being honest with yourself? Forget the clout. Play selfishly. We don't need to optimize everything, but we can make sure that we're having fun. If you have a shelf full of games or a digital collection of games you've bought, and you find yourself jumping between 5, 10, some of you probably do up to 15 of them sequentially without finishing any one, I want to tell you to not feel guilty. Stop feeling guilty about it. You aren't failing anyone. You're not even failing yourself. Look at it as you just trialing new experiences or going back to previous experiences to trigger new and old memories. You're letting your brain take you on a journey to find the right experience for you at the right moment. We need to break the cycle of trying to min-max our joy. For me, I slow down. It might work for you, it might not, but maybe you should try it. I slow down and I take it easy, and I'm starting to find even more satisfaction in my gaming. Let the game that you're playing at any particular point in time, right now, the game you're playing today, let it be what it was meant to be for you. A simple fun experience, an immersive adventure, heartbreaking horrific journey like The Last of Us Part 2, which I love. But let this journey just come organically, right? Don't force it. Play on your own time. Play for yourself. No matter how many detours you need to take to get to the satisfaction that you need, do not force the issue. Trust yourself, love yourself, and play selfishly. If you've gotten to the end of this little journal, I just want to say thank you. I hope I see you in the comments.